rates she previously would have thought impossible to charge. Money came to her, and instead of immediately losing it, she found herself naturally managing it well and watching it grow. Within 6 months, she had more money saved than she had earned in total over the previous 3 years. The breakthrough happened not because she learned better money management techniques or worked harder, but because her subconscious was finally prepared to receive and hold wealth after 40 days of deliberate reprogramming during sleep. This is the kind of transformation that becomes possible when you commit to consistent sleep prosperity programming. You are not just trying to attract money, you are preparing your entire consciousness to be a vessel that can receive, hold, multiply, and joyfully use the abundance that is your spiritual birthright. And this preparation happens automatically as you absorb these teachings night after night. Your subconscious is learning that wealth is safe for you, good for you, natural for you. You are being prepared to handle prosperity without fear or self-sabotage. And this preparation work that you are doing tonight, and will continue for the next 20 nights, is perhaps the most valuable investment of time you could make. Because once your consciousness is fully prepared for wealth, the wealth must come. It is law. Prepared consciousness attracts corresponding circumstances with absolute reliability. Now let me teach you something that will help you recognize the signs that your consciousness is shifting and the preparation is working. Many people do this kind of subconscious work and then get discouraged because they do not see immediate changes in their bank accounts, so they assume nothing is happening and give up too soon. But consciousness shifts before circumstances shift. Internal changes happen before external changes become visible. If you know what signs to look for, you will see clear evidence that the programming is working long before money starts showing up differently in your life. Florence taught her students to watch for specific indicators that prosperity consciousness is taking root. The first sign is decreased anxiety about money. If you normally wake up in the morning with your stomach tight and your mind immediately going to financial worries, but after several nights of prosperity programming, you notice that anxiety is less intense or happens less frequently. That is evidence your subconscious is shifting. You are becoming calmer around money because your subconscious is starting to accept that you are provided for. The second sign is different thoughts about money. If you find yourself naturally thinking more abundant thoughts without trying, imagining positive financial scenarios instead of catastrophic ones, noticing opportunities where you used to see only obstacles, that is your reprogrammed subconscious expressing through your conscious thoughts. The third sign is behavior changes. If you find yourself making different choices around money, maybe speaking up to ask for a raise when you normally would stay silent, or investing in something that supports your growth instead of hoarding every penny in fear, or giving generously when you used to clutch resources tightly. These behavior shifts indicate your subconscious beliefs about money are changing. The fourth sign is synchronicities beginning to occur. If you start noticing meaningful coincidences around money, like thinking of someone and then they offer you work, or needing something and then finding it provided, or being in the right place at the right time to receive opportunities, this is your shifted consciousness starting to create shifted circumstances. The fifth sign is other people responding to you differently. If people suddenly seem more willing to help you financially, offer you opportunities, pay you more, or support your prosperity, they are responding to a change in your energy and consciousness, even if neither of you can consciously articulate what is different. These 5 signs typically show up within the first week or 2 of consistent sleep programming, long before dramatic financial changes appear in your bank account. When you notice these signs, do not dismiss them as small or insignificant. Recognize them as evidence that profound transformation is happening beneath the surface, and trust that external financial results must follow as consciousness solidifies. As you lie here now listening, perhaps already feeling drowsy and relaxed, know that this preparation work is happening in you right now. With every word you hear, with every teaching that penetrates your subconscious, you are being made ready to receive the wealth that is coming to you. Old fears are dissolving. Limiting beliefs are weakening. Your identity is shifting. Your consciousness is expanding to accommodate abundance. This is not something you have to make happen through effort. This is happening automatically simply because you are here, listening, allowing these prosperity principles to wash over your mind during this receptive state. Your only job is to relax, release control, and trust the process. Your subconscious knows exactly what to do with this programming. It is already reorganizing your beliefs, already preparing you to receive, already building the consciousness that will attract and sustain wealth in your life. Nothing can stop this transformation once it has begun at the subconscious level during sleep, except you returning to old poverty programming. And you are not going to do that because you have committed to 21 consecutive nights of wealth consciousness work. You are giving your subconscious no opportunity to slip back into old patterns. You are saturating yourself with prosperity until the new consciousness becomes permanent. Trust this completely. Your preparation is happening now. Your wealth consciousness is forming now. And soon, very soon, your circumstances will have no choice but to reflect the abundant being you are becoming. One of the most powerful teachings Florence Scovel Shinn ever gave about manifesting prosperity through sleep consciousness work involves understanding the relationship between gratitude and abundance. She taught that gratitude is not just a nice spiritual practice or a way to feel good. Gratitude is actually the magnetic force that attracts more of whatever you are grateful for. When you feel genuine gratitude for money and abundance, even before you have as much as you want, you create a vibrational frequency that draws more money and abundance to you. But when you focus on what you lack, complaining about not having enough, feeling resentful that others have more than you create a frequency that repels prosperity and attracts more experiences of lack. This is not reward and punishment from some external force. This is simple energetic law. Like attracts like. Gratitude attracts abundance. Complaint attracts lack. The challenge most people face is that it feels dishonest to practice gratitude for wealth when they are looking at an empty bank account or a pile of bills they cannot pay. Their logical mind says, how can I be grateful for abundance when I am experiencing scarcity? But this is exactly backwards from how manifestation works. You cannot wait until you have abundance to feel grateful for abundance, because the gratitude must come first to create the abundance. Florence taught that the way to resolve this apparent contradiction is to practice gratitude for the abundance you do have right now, no matter how small it seems, and to practice gratitude in advance for the abundance that is coming to you even though you cannot see it yet. Both practices train your subconscious to focus on abundance rather than lack, and what your subconscious focuses on expands in your experience. Let me give you a practical example. Instead of lying in bed at night thinking about all the bills you have to pay and feeling stressed and resentful, you would consciously choose to think about money you did receive today, even if it was small amounts, and feel genuine gratitude. Thank you for the $20 I found in my coat pocket. Thank you for the free coffee someone bought for me. Thank you for the paycheck I received, even though I wish it was bigger. This practice of finding things to be grateful for around money, no matter how small, begins shifting your focus from scarcity to abundance. You are training your subconscious to notice and acknowledge the money and resources that do flow to you instead of fixating on what you lack. And whatever your subconscious notices and acknowledges increases, because that is how manifestation works. Energy flows where attention goes. The second practice is even more powerful, but requires more faith. This is gratitude in advance for money and abundance that has not appeared yet in physical form, but that you claim is already yours in the spiritual realm. You would say thank you for the financial breakthrough that is coming to me now. Thank you for the unexpected money that is on its way to me. Thank you for the raise I am about to receive. Thank you for the abundant life I am stepping into. When you practice gratitude in advance like this, you are doing something profound at the consciousness level. You are claiming the abundance as already real, already done, already yours, just not yet visible in physical form. And when you claim something as already real with genuine feeling and gratitude, your subconscious accepts it as fact and begins creating the circumstances to make it physically visible. Florence told a story about a man who came to her in desperate financial circumstances, facing bankruptcy, about to lose his home and business. He said to her, "How can I possibly be grateful when everything is falling apart? I have nothing to be grateful for." Florence looked at him and said, "You are breathing. Be grateful for that. You have sight to see and ears to hear. Be grateful for that. You are alive in a body that functions. Be grateful for that. You have people who love you. Be grateful for that. You have skills and intelligence. Be grateful for that. Start with gratitude for what you do have, even if it has nothing to do with money, because gratitude is a frequency that will shift your consciousness from lack to abundance, regardless of what you are specifically grateful for. Once you establish yourself in gratitude frequency, abundance must flow to you in all forms, including money, because that is law. The man was skeptical, but had nothing to lose, so he committed to the practice. Every night before bed for 30 days, he would speak out loud 10 things he was genuinely grateful for. For the first 2 weeks, none of them had anything to do with money, because he could not find anything about his financial situation to feel grateful for. He focused on health, relationships, abilities, small comforts, nature, anything he could authentically appreciate. Slowly, his overall emotional state began shifting from bitterness and despair to peace and hope. That shift in consciousness then began attracting different circumstances. People started treating him differently, responding to his changed energy. Opportunities appeared that had not been visible before. Solutions to problems emerged that he had not been able to see when he was in despair consciousness. By the end of 30 days, his financial situation had not completely turned around, but it had definitely stabilized and was clearly moving in a better direction. He had received help from unexpected sources. Creditors had agreed to payment plans he thought were impossible. New income opportunities had emerged. And most importantly, he no longer felt the paralyzing fear that had been consuming him. He felt held, supported, provided for, even though his circumstances were still challenging. He said to Florence, "The gratitude practice did not magically make all my problems disappear, but it changed me in a way that allowed me to navigate the problems from a completely different consciousness. Instead of drowning in lack and fear, I was standing on solid ground of abundance and trust. And from that changed consciousness, solutions appeared that were literally invisible to me before." Florence said that is exactly how spiritual law works. You cannot solve your problems from the same consciousness that created them. You must shift consciousness first through practices like gratitude, and then the solutions appear naturally because you are perceiving from a different level. Now here is what makes gratitude practice especially powerful when combined with sleep programming. When you practice gratitude right before falling asleep, you are setting your emotional frequency at abundance rather than lack during the transition into sleep, which means your subconscious absorbs that abundance frequency throughout the night. Remember, your emotional state when you fall asleep becomes the programming your subconscious works with for the next 6 to 8 hours. If you fall asleep feeling grateful, abundant, blessed, your subconscious spends the night building neural pathways that support those emotions and creating circumstances that will generate more experiences of being grateful, abundant, and blessed. But if you fall asleep feeling resentful, lacking, fearful, your subconscious spends the night reinforcing those emotions and creating circumstances that generate more experiences of resentment, lack, and fear. The emotions you fall asleep in determine the reality you wake up to, not immediately, but inevitably over time, as your habitual emotional state programs your subconscious and your subconscious creates your circumstances. This is why I am going to guide you through a gratitude practice right now that you can use tonight and every night going forward as part of your sleep prosperity programming. As you lie there feeling yourself becoming more and more relaxed, more and more drowsy, I want you to bring to mind 3 things related to money or resources that you can feel genuine appreciation for. Maybe it is a meal you ate today. Someone had to pay for that food. Be grateful. Maybe it is a roof over your head tonight. You have shelter that countless people lack. Be grateful. Maybe it is the clothes you are wearing. You have covering and comfort. Be grateful. Maybe it is money that did come to you today in any amount. Acknowledge it with gratitude. Maybe it is an ability you have that could generate income. Appreciate that gift. Find 3 things, no matter how small they seem, and consciously feel gratitude for them. Do not just think the words thank you. Actually feel the emotion of appreciation in your body, in your heart, for those 3 things. Then, after you have felt gratitude for 3 things that already exist, I want you to practice gratitude in advance for 3 financial blessings that have not manifested yet, but that you are claiming as already done in the spiritual realm. Thank you for the money that is flowing to me now from expected and unexpected sources. Feel genuine gratitude as if that money has already arrived. Thank you for my financial situation transforming easily and quickly. Feel appreciation for that transformation as if it has already happened. Thank you for the abundant, prosperous life I am living. Feel grateful for that abundance as if you are already experiencing it fully. When you practice gratitude in advance with genuine feeling, you are not lying to yourself or pretending. You are acknowledging spiritual reality before it becomes physical reality, which is actually how all manifestation works. Everything exists in consciousness first before it appears in physical form. By being grateful for abundance in consciousness before you see it physically, you are speeding up the manifestation process and ensuring it will appear because you have claimed it as already real. After you have done this gratitude practice, feeling appreciation for 3 things that exist and 3 things that are coming, simply release all mental effort and allow yourself to drift naturally towards sleep. Your final conscious act before sleep takes you should be gratitude, not worry or fear or planning or mental chatter, but genuine heartfelt appreciation. That frequency of gratitude becomes the foundation your subconscious builds on throughout the night. You will wake up in a different emotional and energetic state than if you had fallen asleep in anxiety. And that different state will naturally attract different circumstances in your day. This is not magic or wishful thinking. This is straightforward consciousness work that produces reliable results when practiced consistently. Florence emphasized to all her students that gratitude practice becomes exponentially more powerful when you do it consistently over time, rather than occasionally when you remember. One night of gratitude before sleep will shift your consciousness slightly. 7 consecutive nights will shift it noticeably. 21 consecutive nights will shift it dramatically. The compound effect of falling asleep in gratitude night after night after night rewires your brain at the neural level, making abundance consciousness your new default rather than something you have to consciously work to maintain. This is why I keep emphasizing the 21-day commitment. 3 weeks of consistent nightly practice is the minimum time required to create lasting transformation at the subconscious level. After 21 consecutive nights of falling asleep in gratitude while listening to prosperity programming, you will not have to try to feel abundant anymore. Abundance will be your automatic baseline consciousness, and your circumstances will naturally organize around that consciousness. Let me tell you one more story that beautifully illustrates the power of gratitude practice combined with sleep programming. There was a woman who was a single mother with 3 children living paycheck to paycheck with nothing left over and no savings. She was exhausted and overwhelmed and could not see any way out of the constant financial pressure. She heard Florence speak about gratitude as the key to prosperity and decided to try the practice even though it felt almost absurd given her circumstances. Every night for 30 days, right before falling asleep, she would force herself to find 10 things to be grateful for. Many nights she cried while doing it because it felt so hard to access gratitude when she was so tired and stressed. But she kept the commitment, speaking her gratitude out loud, even through tears, and then falling asleep. By the end of the first week, she noticed that she was sleeping better and waking up with slightly less anxiety. By the end of the second week, she noticed that small, unexpected helps kept appearing. A neighbor brought over groceries. Her mother sent her money for no reason. One of her kids got a scholarship that reduced expenses. By the end of the third week, she got offered a better job with significantly higher pay. By the end of 30 days, her financial situation was still tight, but moving in the right direction. And more importantly, she felt completely different internally. She said the gratitude practice had not made her rich yet, but it had made her rich in consciousness, which she could feel was the foundation that actual wealth would build on. She continued the practice long-term, and within a year, her income had doubled. She had savings for the first time in her adult life, and she felt abundant, even though she was not wealthy by society's standards. The shift happened because gratitude changed her consciousness first, and changed consciousness created changed circumstances inevitably. As you lie here now, possibly already drifting in and out of sleep, feeling deeply relaxed and peaceful, I want you to know that every moment you spend in gratitude is a moment you are programming your subconscious for abundance. Every time you choose appreciation over complaint, you are choosing prosperity over poverty. Every time you acknowledge what you have instead of fixating on what you lack, you are activating the law of increase in your life. And as you fall asleep tonight in gratitude, Your subconscious will work throughout the night, building more things for you to be grateful for, creating circumstances that match your abundant consciousness. This is not hope or theory. This is spiritual law operating with perfect reliability. Gratitude attracts abundance. Complaint attracts lack. You are choosing gratitude. Therefore, you are choosing abundance. And abundance must come because that is law. Sleep now in gratitude and trust. Sleep knowing you are blessed and provided for. Sleep in peace knowing your wealthy life is being created in consciousness right now and must manifest in physical form soon. You are grateful, you are abundant, you are wealthy. This is truth. Rest in this truth tonight. Now I want to share with you one of the most profound secrets Florence Scovel Shinn discovered about why some people manifest wealth quickly and easily, while others struggle for years with minimal results despite doing all the right practices. This secret has to do with something she called the inner image, which is the picture you hold of yourself at the deepest subconscious level. Most people have an inner image of themselves as someone who struggles financially. Someone who always has to work hard for money, someone who never quite has enough. This inner image was formed through years of experience, conditioning, and repetition, and it functions like a thermostat that keeps your financial circumstances locked at a certain level. Just like a thermostat in a room maintains temperature at whatever it is set to, your inner image maintains your financial circumstances at whatever level matches the picture you hold of yourself subconsciously. When your circumstances try to rise above that image, your subconscious sabotages them back down to match the image. When your circumstances drop below the image, your subconscious works to bring them back up. Either way, you stay stuck at whatever level your inner image is set to. This is why people can win the lottery and lose it all within a few years. Their outer circumstances temporarily jumped far above their inner image. But because the inner image did not change, their subconscious could not sustain the wealth and found ways to bring circumstances back down to match the image of themselves as not wealthy. And this is also why people who have wealth consciousness can lose everything in a disaster or economic collapse and rebuild it quickly. Their inner image is of themselves as wealthy, so even when outer circumstances temporarily drop, their subconscious immediately goes to work creating new opportunities and resources to bring circumstances back up to match their wealthy self-image. The inner image is the controlling factor. Circumstances always eventually conform to whatever image you hold of yourself at the subconscious level. Florence taught that the fastest way to change your financial reality permanently is not to chase money or strategies or opportunities on the outside, but to change your inner image of yourself on the inside through dedicated subconscious reprogramming. When you change the inner image from poor person to wealthy person, from struggler to prosperer, from someone who barely gets by to someone who always has abundant overflow, your outer circumstances must eventually shift to match that new image, because that is how consciousness and manifestation work. And the most effective time to reprogram your inner image is during sleep, when your subconscious is maximally receptive to new programming without resistance from your conscious mind, which is very attached to your current self-image, and will fight to maintain it during waking hours. Let me give you a specific practice you can use to reprogram your inner image starting tonight. As you lie in bed preparing for sleep, after you have done your gratitude practice, I want you to spend 2 to 3 minutes visualizing yourself as already wealthy. Do not visualize future wealth or hope for wealth or try to attract wealth. Visualize yourself right now, in present tense, as a person who already has abundant wealth. See yourself checking your bank account and seeing large numbers. See yourself making financial decisions from overflow rather than scarcity. See yourself giving generously because you have more than enough. See yourself completely relaxed and peaceful about money because you know you are always provided for abundantly. See yourself living in a beautiful home, driving a nice car, wearing quality clothes, enjoying experiences you desire, all without stress or struggle. Build this inner image as vividly as you can for 2 to 3 minutes, really feeling what it would feel like to be this version of yourself who is naturally wealthy. The key is that you are not visualizing this as something you hope will happen in the future. You are visualizing this as who you already are right now in consciousness, claiming this identity as already real, even though your physical circumstances have not caught up yet. When you do this practice every night before sleep, you are literally rewriting your inner image. Your subconscious does not distinguish between vividly imagined experience and actual experience. When you see yourself as wealthy, night after night, with genuine feeling and detail, your subconscious starts accepting that image as the real you. And once your subconscious accepts the image of you as a wealthy person, it must create circumstances that match that image, because keeping your outer life aligned with your inner self-image is one of the primary functions of the subconscious mind. Florence worked with a man who had been stuck at the same low-income level for 15 years, despite being talented and hardworking. He could not understand why he could never break through to higher earnings, no matter what he tried. Florence explained to him that his inner image was locked at that income level, because that was what he had experienced for so long that his subconscious accepted it as his identity. She taught him the inner image reprogramming practice, having him visualize himself every night before sleep as someone who easily earns 10 times what he currently made. At first, this felt ridiculous to him, almost like lying to himself. But he committed to the practice faithfully for 60 consecutive nights. For the first month, nothing changed in his outer circumstances, but he noticed he was starting to think differently about himself and what was possible for him. The identity of low earner was loosening. He was beginning to actually see himself as someone who could command high fees and attract abundant income. In the second month, external shifts began. He had impulses to reach out to different people, to pitch himself differently, to raise his prices significantly. All of these actions felt natural and right, even though they were completely different from how he had operated for 15 years. Within 3 months, his income had doubled. Within 6 months, it had quadrupled. Within a year, he was earning 12 times what he had been stuck at for the previous 15 years. The shift happened because his inner image changed first through consistent visualization practice before sleep, and then his outer circumstances reorganized around the new image. He said the most interesting part was that the actual mechanisms of increase were completely different than anything he had tried to force during those stuck years. He was not working harder or longer hours. Different opportunities just appeared. People paid him more for the same work. Higher-level clients found him. Resources flowed more easily. It all felt natural and effortless once his inner image shifted, whereas during the 15 stuck years, everything had felt like struggle and force. This is the difference between trying to change circumstances from the outside versus changing the inner image that creates circumstances. Outer change requires constant effort and produces minimal results. Inner change happens during sleep through visualization and programming, requires minimal conscious effort, and produces dramatic lasting results because you are working at the causal level of consciousness rather than the effect level of circumstances. Now, as you lie here tonight absorbing these teachings, your inner image is already beginning to shift, whether you are consciously aware of it or not. Every prosperity principle you hear, every wealth affirmation that penetrates your subconscious, every story of financial transformation you absorb is contributing to the formation of a new inner image of yourself as a naturally abundant person. This is happening automatically, simply through your exposure to this programming during the receptive sleep state. But you can accelerate and intensify the process by adding the deliberate visualization practice I just taught you. 2 to 3 minutes before you allow yourself to drift fully into sleep, build that inner image of your wealthy self as vividly as possible. See it, feel it, claim it as your real identity. Do this every single night for the next 21 nights minimum, and your inner image will shift permanently. Once the inner image shifts, your outer circumstances have no choice but to eventually match it. This is not hope or positive thinking. This is mechanical spiritual law. Inner image controls outer circumstances with absolute reliability. Let me share one more crucial teaching about the inner image that Florence emphasized strongly. Your inner image is not just about how much money you have. It is also about your overall sense of deserving, your sense of being blessed, your sense of being someone who naturally receives good things. Some people have an inner image of themselves as unlucky, as someone life is hard for, as someone who has to fight for everything they get. That inner image will create struggle in every area, including finances, even if the person works on money consciousness specifically. But when you shift your inner image to seeing yourself as blessed, favored, fortunate, someone who naturally attracts good things easily, That image supports prosperity in all forms, including wealth. So as you do your visualization practice, include this expanded sense of your identity. See yourself not just as someone who has money, but as someone who is blessed in all ways, someone life flows easily for, someone who naturally receives good fortune. See yourself as someone who opportunities come to without effort. See yourself as someone people want to help and support. See yourself as someone who is divinely favored and provided for always. This holistic inner image shift creates a consciousness that magnetizes all forms of abundance to you. Not just money, but also health, relationships, opportunities, synchronicities, all the components of a truly wealthy life. When you know yourself at the deepest level as a blessed, fortunate person, your subconscious creates circumstances across all life areas that match that knowing. As you feel yourself drifting deeper now, more and more relaxed, perhaps already losing track of the words as sleep begins to take you, let the last image you hold before consciousness fades be the image of your wealthy, blessed self. See that version of you clearly. Feel what it feels like to be that person. Claim that identity as your truth. Let that image sink into your subconscious as your last conscious act before sleep. Tomorrow when you wake, you will be one step closer to embodying that image fully. Night after night of this practice, you become that person you are visualizing until there is no separation between the image and the reality. Your wealthy self and your actual self merge into one. Your blessed nature and your lived experience align completely. This is your destiny. This is your truth. This is who you are becoming through this practice. Release now into sleep. Let your subconscious do the work of transformation while your body rests. Trust completely. Your wealthy image is being established now. Your blessed identity is being claimed now. And your circumstances must match this new consciousness. Sleep peacefully, knowing this truth. There is a teaching that Florence Scovel Shinn gave that revolutionized prosperity manifestation for thousands of her students. And tonight I want to share this teaching with you because it will completely change how you relate to money and wealth. She taught that most people approach prosperity from a consciousness of lack, always focused on what they do not have yet, always straining toward a future when they will finally have enough, never arriving at contentment because the goalpost keeps moving. They think that once I have this amount of money, then I will feel abundant and wealthy. But when they reach that amount, it does not feel like enough anymore. So they set a new target. Once I have that amount, then I will feel secure. But that amount also does not satisfy when reached. This is the trap of lack consciousness. No amount of money will ever feel like enough if you are approaching wealth from lacking and needing rather than from already being abundant. Florence taught that the secret to genuine prosperity that satisfies and fulfills is to reverse the process completely. Instead of trying to get money in order to feel wealthy, you must establish the feeling of wealth first, independent of how much money you currently have, and then money will flow to you as a reflection of your wealthy feeling. Instead of saying, I will feel abundant when I have more money, you must say, I feel abundant now, regardless of my current circumstances. And this abundant feeling will create more money. This seems backwards to the logical mind. How can I feel wealthy when I am looking at an empty bank account? But this is exactly the consciousness shift that separates people who manifest lasting prosperity from people who chase money their whole lives and never feel satisfied, regardless of how much they accumulate. The feeling is the thing. The feeling is the creative force. The feeling is what your subconscious responds to and creates circumstances to match. If you feel poor, your subconscious creates poverty circumstances to match your feeling. If you feel wealthy, your subconscious creates prosperity circumstances to match your feeling. The actual amount of money you currently have is irrelevant to your subconscious. It only responds to the feeling tone you are broadcasting. So the most important question is not how much money do you have, but rather, what feeling about money do you carry consistently? That feeling is creating your financial reality far more than your actions or strategies or opportunities are. Let me tell you a story that illustrates this perfectly. Florence knew a man who was a janitor, earning minimum wage, barely able to support his family, living in a tiny apartment with no savings and no apparent prospects for improvement. By all external measures, this man was poor, but he had a quality about him that was unusual. He did not feel poor. He carried himself with dignity and peace. He was generous with the little he had. He seemed genuinely content and grateful for his life. He would say things like, "I am a wealthy man. I have everything I need. I am richly blessed." People thought he was delusional or in denial about his actual circumstances. But Florence recognized that this man had discovered the secret of wealthy consciousness, independent of circumstances. He felt wealthy despite being poor in material terms, and Florence knew that feeling must eventually create matching circumstances, because that is law. She told him to maintain that wealthy feeling and to amplify it deliberately every night before sleep. She taught him to lie in bed and consciously generate the feeling of being abundantly prosperous, letting that feeling fill his entire body and consciousness as he drifted off to sleep. The man did this faithfully every night for 6 months. During that time, his outer circumstances did not change at all. He was still a janitor earning the same wage, but his consciousness was being deeply established in wealth, feeling regardless of circumstances. Then in the 7th month, everything shifted suddenly. He met someone who recognized his character and work ethic and offered him a much better job. That job led to learning skills he did not know he had. Those skills led to starting a side business. That business grew rapidly. Within 2 years of maintaining wealthy consciousness, despite poor circumstances, his circumstances had completely transformed to match his consciousness. He went from barely surviving to genuinely prospering, not through any strategy or hustle, but through maintaining wealthy feeling until his subconscious created wealthy circumstances to match it. Florence emphasized that this man's transformation would not have happened if he had been feeling poor during those 6 months when his circumstances were still difficult. If he had let his circumstances dictate his feeling, he would have felt lack and struggle, and his subconscious would have continued creating more circumstances that match lack and struggle. But because he maintained wealthy feeling regardless of circumstances, his subconscious had no choice but to eventually create circumstances that matched his feeling. This is the power of feeling consciousness independent of circumstances. When you can feel abundant before you have evidence of abundance, you create the evidence. When you can feel wealthy before your bank account reflects wealth, you create the bank account that reflects your feeling. So how do you generate wealthy feeling when you are looking at circumstances that seem to contradict wealth? This is the practice Florence taught and that you can begin using tonight. Wealthy feeling is not about denying your circumstances or pretending they are different than they are. Wealthy feeling comes from recognizing that you are more than your circumstances, that your true identity is as an infinite being connected to unlimited supply, and that your current circumstances are just temporary conditions that your consciousness is about to change. When you recognize this truth, you can actually feel wealthy in your consciousness even while your circumstances are still catching up. The wealthy feeling is not based on what you see in your bank account. The wealthy feeling is based on knowing who you are and what you have access to at the spiritual level. Here's the specific practice. As you lie in bed tonight, after your gratitude practice and after your visualization of your wealthy self, I want you to consciously generate the feeling of wealth in your body. This is not thinking about wealth or imagining wealth. This is actually feeling in your body what it would feel like to be completely financially secure, abundantly provided for, wealthy beyond your needs. Where would you feel that in your body? Maybe your chest would feel open and expansive. Maybe your stomach would feel relaxed instead of tight. Maybe your whole body would feel lighter, less burdened. Maybe you would feel warm or peaceful or joyful. Everyone experiences wealthy feelings slightly differently in their body. Find what wealthy feeling would feel like for you physically, and then consciously generate that sensation in your body right now, regardless of your circumstances. Breathe deeply and let your body relax into the sensation of wealth. Feel your chest opening, your stomach softening, your muscles releasing tension. Let yourself feel what it would feel like if you knew with absolute certainty that you are financially taken care of forever. How would your body feel if you had no financial worries at all? Generate that feeling now. Hold that feeling for at least 2 to 3 minutes, really soaking in the sensation of wealth and security and abundant provision. Your subconscious does not know the difference between feeling that is generated by external circumstances and feeling that is generated by conscious choice. Either way, it responds to the feeling and begins creating circumstances that match it. When you consciously generate wealthy feeling before sleep and then fall asleep in that feeling, your subconscious accepts it as your reality and works all night to create external circumstances that match the internal feeling. Florence had a student who was severely in debt, being harassed by creditors, terrified of losing everything, completely consumed by financial anxiety. The student asked Florence how she could possibly generate wealthy feeling when she was in such dire circumstances. Florence said, "Your circumstances are the effect, not the cause. Your feeling is the cause. If you continue feeling poor and afraid, your circumstances will continue reflecting poverty and creating situations that make you afraid. But if you deliberately generate wealthy feeling despite your circumstances, your subconscious will begin creating different circumstances that match your new feeling. You are not pretending your debt does not exist. You are choosing to feel wealthy in consciousness regardless of temporary conditions in your circumstances. And that choice will change the circumstances because consciousness always creates conditions, never the reverse." The student committed to the practice. Every night before bed for 90 consecutive nights, she would consciously generate the feeling of wealth in her body, breathing it in, soaking in it, falling asleep in that feeling state regardless of what her bank statements showed. For the first month, her circumstances actually got worse. More bills came. Creditors increased pressure. Her logical mind screamed that the practice was not working, but she maintained the wealthy feeling anyway, understanding that consciousness shifts before circumstances shift, that she was working at the causal level and had to trust the process even when effects had not caught up yet. In the second month, small shifts began. A creditor unexpectedly offered a settlement for much less than owed. She found money she had forgotten about. A friend paid back a debt she had written off years ago. These were small changes, but they were evidence that something was moving in her favor. By the third month, the momentum had clearly shifted. Bigger solutions appeared. She got a better job with significantly higher pay. Another large debt was forgiven through bankruptcy of the creditor. Money started flowing to her from directions she had not anticipated. By the end of 90 days, her financial situation had improved dramatically. And more importantly, her relationship with money had completely transformed. She no longer felt like a victim of circumstances. She knew herself as a creator who could generate wealthy feeling and have circumstances match it. The debt was not completely cleared yet, but she knew with certainty it would be because her consciousness had shifted permanently to wealth, regardless of temporary conditions. Within a year, she was completely debt-free and had savings, something she never had in her entire adult life before. The transformation happened because she learned to generate wealthy feeling before circumstances gave her permission to feel wealthy, and that feeling created new circumstances. As you lie here now feeling deeply relaxed and perhaps already drifting towards sleep, I want you to consciously generate that wealthy feeling in your body right now. What would wealth feel like? How would your body feel if you were completely financially secure and abundant? Find that feeling. Create it right now through conscious intention. Breathe into it. Let it fill your chest, your belly, your whole body. Feel your muscles relaxing into the sensation of security and abundance. Feel your heart opening in gratitude and peace. Feel your whole being settling into the truth that you are provided for. You are wealthy. You are blessed beyond measure. Hold this feeling. Soak in it. Let it become your reality right now in this moment. This is not fantasy. This is you accessing your true consciousness as an abundant being. This is you claiming your spiritual reality before it has fully manifested in physical form. And this feeling that you are generating right now is the creative force that will bring the physical manifestation. Your subconscious is receiving this wealthy feeling as your new set point. It is already beginning to create circumstances that match this feeling. Money must flow to match your wealthy consciousness. Opportunities must appear to reflect your abundant feeling. Provision must manifest to correspond with your sense of security and blessing. This is law. This is certain. This is already in motion. Fall asleep now in this wealthy feeling. Let it carry you into dreams. Let it program your subconscious throughout the night. Tomorrow, you wake one step closer to living the wealthy life your consciousness is creating tonight. You are wealthy now in feeling. Soon you will be wealthy in circumstances. The feeling always comes first. The feeling is the thing. And you have chosen the wealthy feeling right now. Sleep in this truth. Rest in this consciousness. You are abundant. You are blessed. You are wealthy. This is who you are. Tonight I want to share with you one of the most powerful and least understood principles that Florence Scovel Shinn taught about manifesting wealth. And this principle alone, when properly understood and applied, has the power to completely transform your financial reality within weeks. She called this the principle of acting as if, and it goes far deeper than simple positive thinking or fake it until you make it advice you might have heard before. This principle is about embodying your desired reality so completely at the consciousness level that your subconscious accepts it as fact and begins creating corresponding circumstances in physical form. When you truly act as if you are already the wealthy person you desire to become, not just in your actions, but in your thoughts, feelings, and energy, you collapse the gap between current circumstances and desired reality because you have aligned your consciousness with the desired state first. And consciousness always creates circumstances to match itself. Most people wait for their circumstances to change before they change how they think, feel, and behave. They say, when I have more money, then I will feel secure and act confident and make generous choices. But this is backwards. Your circumstances are effects, not causes. Your consciousness is the cause. When you wait for circumstances to change before you change your consciousness, you wait forever because circumstances cannot change until consciousness changes first. But when you deliberately shift your consciousness to match your desired reality before the circumstances reflect it, you set powerful manifestation forces in motion that must produce corresponding circumstances because that is spiritual law. Acting as if is not pretending or denying reality. Acting as if is claiming your desired reality in consciousness first, which is the only place any reality is ever created before it appears in physical form. Let me explain exactly what this means practically. Acting as if you are wealthy means you begin thinking the thoughts a wealthy person thinks, feeling the feelings a wealthy person feels, making the choices a wealthy person makes, and carrying the energy a wealthy person carries, regardless of what your current bank account shows. This does not mean spending money you do not have or being financially irresponsible. This means shifting your internal consciousness to match wealth even while your external circumstances are still catching up. A wealthy person thinks abundance thoughts naturally. They see opportunities where others see obstacles. They feel secure about their finances. They are generous because they know more is always coming. They make decisions from overflow rather than scarcity. They carry themselves with quiet confidence and peace around money. You can embody all of these internal qualities right now, today, before your bank account reflects wealth, and embodying them will create the bank account that matches them. Florence told a story about a woman who came to her classes who was living in poverty, barely surviving on welfare assistance, wearing old, worn clothes, living in a terrible neighborhood, completely stuck in poverty consciousness. This woman heard Florence teach about acting as if and decided to apply the principle radically, even though it made no logical sense. She began dressing as well as she possibly could with the clothes she had, carrying herself with dignity as if she were a woman of means. She started speaking about money confidently, as if she had plenty rather than fearfully, as if she never had enough. She began making small, generous gestures when opportunities arose, giving $1 to someone in need even when she barely had dollars herself, because wealthy people are generous. She started walking into stores she could not afford to shop in, just to be in the energy of abundance and see herself in that environment as if she belonged there. She practiced feeling wealthy in her body and mind every single day, acting as if she already was the prosperous woman she intended to become. People who knew her thought she was crazy or delusional. They said she needed to accept her reality and stop pretending to be something she was not. But this woman understood something they did not. She understood that she was not pretending or denying her circumstances. She was claiming her desired reality and consciousness first, and she knew that consciousness creates circumstances. For 3 months, nothing changed in her external situation. She was still on welfare, still in the same apartment, still wearing the same old clothes. But internally, everything was changing. Her sense of identity was shifting from poor person to wealthy person. Her energy was transforming from desperation to confidence. Her thoughts were moving from lack to abundance. And then in the fourth month, external circumstances began shifting to match her internal shift. A woman she barely knew offered her clothes that were high quality and fit perfectly. A relative unexpectedly gave her money. She was offered work doing something she enjoyed that paid better than anything she had qualified for before. Someone offered her a much better living situation for less money than she was paying. One thing led to another. Momentum built, and within a year she was completely off welfare, earning good income, living comfortably, and genuinely prosperous. The breakthrough did not come from any strategy or hustle. The breakthrough came because she acted as if she were wealthy before circumstances reflected it. And her subconscious had no choice but to create circumstances that matched the wealthy identity she was embodying. This is the power of acting as if. It reprograms your subconscious to accept your desired reality as current reality, and then your subconscious creates the physical circumstances to match what it believes is real. Now here is how you apply this principle starting tonight, using your sleep time as the primary programming period. As you lie in bed preparing for sleep, after you have done your gratitude practice and your visualization and your wealthy feeling practice, I want you to review your day from the perspective of your wealthy self. Ask yourself, if I were already the wealthy, abundant person I am becoming, how would I view today? What would I notice about today? What would I feel grateful for about today? How would I think about the challenges I faced today? How would I perceive the interactions I had today? Spend a few minutes reimagining your day through the lens of wealthy consciousness rather than whatever consciousness you were actually in during the day. This practice does something profound. It trains your subconscious to interpret your life through an abundance filter rather than a scarcity filter. Over time, this becomes automatic. You start naturally perceiving and interpreting everything through wealthy consciousness, which then creates more experiences that match wealth. Then, as your final practice before allowing yourself to drift into sleep, I want you to set an intention for tomorrow from your wealthy self. Say to yourself silently, tomorrow I am waking up as a wealthy person. I will think wealthy thoughts, feel wealthy feelings, make wealthy choices, and carry wealthy energy all day, regardless of circumstances. I am not waiting for circumstances to give me permission to be wealthy. I am claiming wealthy consciousness now, and circumstances will follow. When you set this intention before sleep, your subconscious works on it throughout the night. And when you wake in the morning, you will find it easier to actually embody wealthy consciousness during your day. Day by day, acting as if becomes more natural until it is not acting anymore. It is simply who you are. And once who you are is wealthy in consciousness, what you have must become wealthy in circumstances. Florence emphasized that acting as if must be done consistently, not occasionally. One day of thinking abundant thoughts while surrounded by 99 days of thinking scarcity thoughts will produce scarcity results because your dominant consciousness determines your circumstances. This is why the 21 consecutive night commitment is so crucial. 21 nights of falling asleep in wealthy consciousness. 21 days of waking up and acting as if you are already prosperous. 21 days of consistent practice creates the tipping point where wealthy consciousness becomes your new dominant state rather than just a temporary practice. After 21 days of consistent embodiment, you are not acting as if anymore. You have become the wealthy person at the consciousness level, and circumstances must match because that is law. Let me share one more story that demonstrates the power of this principle. Florence knew a young man who wanted to start a business but had no money for startup costs, no investors, no resources, no apparent way to make it happen. Most people in his situation would have focused on all the obstacles, all the reasons why it was impossible, all the lack of resources. But this young man had learned the principle of acting as if from Florence's teaching. He decided to act as if he were already a successful business owner, even though the business did not exist yet in physical form. He created business cards even though he had no business yet. He set up a professional workspace in his tiny apartment even though he had no clients yet. He spoke about his business as if it already existed and was thriving. He made plans and decisions as if he were already the successful entrepreneur he intended to become. He even dressed for success despite having no success yet to dress for. Most importantly, every night before sleep, he visualized himself operating his successful business, serving clients, making money, growing and expanding. He fell asleep feeling like a successful business owner rather than a broke dreamer. He programmed his subconscious with the reality he intended to create rather than the circumstances he currently lived in. For 2 months, nothing happened in external reality. He still had no business, no clients, no income from his intended venture. But his consciousness was being deeply established in the identity of successful entrepreneur. Then things began shifting. He met someone randomly who became his first client. That client referred others. Opportunities appeared. Resources showed up. People offered help. Within 6 months, he had a thriving business earning more than he had ever made working for others. Within 2 years, his business had grown beyond anything he had originally imagined as possible. He said the key was that he never waited for circumstances to support his wealthy business owner identity. He claimed that identity first in consciousness through acting as if, and then circumstances had no choice but to conform to his consciousness. This is what you are doing tonight, and for the next 20 nights, as you fall asleep, programming wealthy consciousness. You are not waiting for your bank account to give you permission to feel wealthy. You are claiming wealthy consciousness now, acting as if it is already real, and your subconscious is accepting it as real and beginning to create the circumstances that match it. Every night that you fall asleep as your wealthy self rather than your poor self, you are one night closer to circumstances reflecting your wealthy consciousness. Every morning that you wake up and act as if you are already the prosperous person you intend to be, you are one day closer to embodying that prosperity in all areas of life. This is not fake or pretend. This is you claiming your desired reality in the only place reality is ever created, which is consciousness. The physical manifestation is just the inevitable result of established consciousness. As you feel yourself getting drowsier now, your body deeply relaxed, your mind becoming quieter, I want you to consciously step into the identity of your wealthy self. How does your wealthy self lie in bed? Maybe more relaxed, less tense. How does your wealthy self breathe? Maybe more deeply and peacefully. How does your wealthy self feel in this moment? Maybe more content and secure. Embody that now. Become that now. Act as if you already are that wealthy, peaceful person, and let your body and energy shift to match. This is not pretending. This is claiming your truth. You are an abundant being connected to infinite supply. That is your reality. Your circumstances just have not fully caught up yet, but they will. They must, because consciousness always creates circumstances eventually. Act as if now. Be it now. And fall asleep as the wealthy, blessed person you truly are. Your subconscious accepts this identity. Your circumstances will reflect this identity. Sleep now as your wealthy self. Wake tomorrow as your wealthy self. Live tomorrow as your wealthy self. And soon, very soon, wealthy will not be something you are acting as if about. Wealthy will simply be what you are. Now we come to one of the most mysterious and powerful aspects of Florence Scovel Shinn's prosperity teaching, something she called divine timing and the principle of perfect unfoldment. Many people who work with manifestation and consciousness become frustrated because they set intentions for wealth. They program their subconscious faithfully, they do all the practices correctly, and yet the physical results do not appear as quickly as they want or expect. They begin to doubt whether the principles work. They wonder if they are doing something wrong. They compare themselves to others who seem to manifest more quickly. This frustration and doubt can actually block the very manifestation they are working toward, because doubt is a form of resistance that interferes with the flow of supply. Florence taught that understanding divine timing and trusting the process of perfect unfoldment is essential to successful manifestation, and this understanding must be programmed deeply into your subconscious so that you can maintain faith and patience while the invisible work of consciousness is creating your visible circumstances. The principle works like this. When you plant a seed in soil, you do not expect to see a full-grown plant the next morning. You understand that there is a natural process of growth that happens beneath the surface before anything visible appears above ground. The seed must absorb water, begin germinating, send roots down into soil, gather nutrients and energy, and only after all that invisible preparation does a sprout finally break through the surface. If you dug up the seed every day to check if it was growing yet, you would destroy the very growth process you are trying to encourage. Your job after planting the seed is to water it, give it sunlight, and trust the natural process of unfoldment, knowing that growth is happening even when you cannot see it yet. Florence taught that manifesting wealth works exactly the same way. When you plant prosperity consciousness through your nightly subconscious programming, you are planting seeds in the soil of your mind. Those seeds are doing invisible work beneath the surface of your awareness, sending roots into your subconscious, reorganizing your beliefs, shifting your energy, creating new neural pathways, establishing new patterns. This is real work happening in consciousness, but it is not visible in your circumstances yet. If you become impatient and doubtful because you cannot see results immediately, if you keep digging up your consciousness seeds to check if they are growing by obsessively checking your bank account or complaining that nothing is changing, you interfere with the natural unfoldment process. Your doubt sends contradictory programming to your subconscious that weakens the prosperity seeds you planted. Your impatience creates resistance that blocks the flow. Florence taught that the solution is to plant your consciousness seeds through nightly programming, and then maintain absolute faith that growth is happening beneath the surface even when you see no evidence yet, trusting divine timing to bring the manifestation forward at the perfect moment when all invisible preparation is complete. This trust and patience is not passive waiting. This is active faith, continuing to program prosperity consciousness night after night, regardless of current circumstances, knowing that cumulative programming must eventually produce corresponding circumstances, because that is law. She told a story about a farmer who plants seeds in spring and then tends his fields throughout summer, even though he sees no harvest yet. The farmer does not panic in June, saying the seeds did not work because there is no corn yet. He knows corn takes months to grow from seed to harvest, and he trusts the timing of the growth process. He waters, he weeds, he protects the growing crops from pests, he does his part faithfully, and he trusts nature to do its part in its own time. Then in late summer or early fall, harvest comes abundantly. The farmer who maintained faith through the invisible growth period receives the visible results when timing is right. But a farmer who plants seeds and then digs them up impatiently in June because he does not see corn yet gets no harvest at all. Florence said, prosperity manifestation works exactly the same way. You plant consciousness seeds through nightly programming. You tend those seeds by maintaining wealthy consciousness